In the novel, romantic love is presented as nothing more than a selfish instinct. It doesn't matter how much we try to convince ourselves otherwise, that everything we do for the other has an altruistic motive. Perhaps the unconditional love one feels for his child is different, but this is not given, and often there are expectations as well. So Eric's feelings for Louise were not as pure as he would like to believe. There were some expectations, maybe because they were the result of the feelings he had for her mother. I think Louise is a very interesting personality. She is young, 18, but so much more mature than the two men interested in her. Presently, Louise came down the steps from the house. She shook hands with him. She bore no sign that she had passed through an emotional crisis, but greeted him with that composed and winning smile that she had had the first time he saw her on the way back from the bathing pool. Her understanding of life seems to be more on the level of Dr. Sanders. She, for men, is a paradox, as most women are. There is the image and there is the real person. Because of the social expectations, she plays her part, but the real person is just under the surface. I think that's why women, in general, are better at lying and manipulating, because it is an important part of their survival instinct. The two men, Fred and Eric, only see the image, not the real Louise, and that's their undoing, the Greek tragedy. Another theme of the book is the advice from the older, wiser men to the young, presented in Dr. Sanders' conversations with the other characters, the talk with Fred. "Oh, my dear boy, what perfect nonsense you talk. Youth, you're a stranger in the world yet. Presently, like a man on a deserted island, you learn to do without what you can't get and make the most of what you can. A little common sense, a little tolerance, a little good humor, and you don't know how comfortable you can make yourself on this planet." Unfortunately, it was beyond Fred's understanding or willingness to accept life's reality. "You've lost heart, hope, faith, and awe. What in God's name have you got left?" And the doctor replies, "Resignation." Have you ever read that laughter is the only gift that gods have vouchsafed to man that he does not share with the beasts? I have acquired resignation by the help of an unfailing sense of the ridiculous. But Fred was not willing to accept resignation as the motivator or remedy for living. On the other hand, Louise, being more mature mentally and experienced, can comprehend what the doctor is saying. A lot of it seems to her more of confirmation than novelty. It is the result of the environment she grew up in, a faraway island with more practical locals and without the Western misguided romantic illusions. Don't you think it's rather stupid the importance men, white men at least, attach to the act of flesh? The book presents life as education, formation of character, similar to the ship moving forward but never in a straight line, constantly adjusting course, taking advantage of opportunities and disasters when they appear, and the benefit of it are only recognized in the hindsight. When some incident has shattered the career you have mapped out for yourself, a folly, a crime, or a misfortune, you mustn't think you're down and out. It may be a stroke of luck, and when you look back years later, you may say to yourself that you wouldn't for anything in the world exchange the new life disaster has forced upon you for the dull, humdrum existence you would have led if circumstances hadn't intervened. Unfortunately, not everyone survives schooling. The instant change is the danger, no time to acclimatize and slowly accept what is coming, as in the slow process of getting old, when all that one has is post-rationalization. Some people are driven by their emotions and are not good at rationalizing, especially the young, and they prefer to die because the pain, psychological, becomes unbearable. So, if you survive, the life psychologically seems to become easier with fewer pressures, but of course there is the physical price to pay for it. He went over to the mirror and stared at himself. He looked at his grey hair, all disarranged after the night, and his stubble of white beard that had grown since he had shaved the day before. He bared his teeth to look at his long yellow fangs. There were heavy pouches under his eyes. His cheeks had an unsightly purple. He was seized with disgust. He wondered why it was that of all creatures, man was the only one that ages so hideously disfigured. To sum it up, The Narrow Corner is a good story and well written, not as elaborate as Maugham's more famous novels of Human Bondage and The Razor's Edge, more condensed and to the point, similar to Moon and Sixpence, but it still seems to pack as much depth as his longer novels, might be even more shocking because of the velocity of the plot. At the same time, the novel was entertaining and relaxing, a good read before bed, with easy-to-understand prose, probably the reason Maugham had such a wide public appeal. The story on the surface might seem superficial and shallow, but there is depth to the plot, a message about life. The hint is in the quote from Marcus Aurelius at the beginning of the novel. Short, therefore, is man's life, and narrow is the corner of the earth wherein he dwells. And the original quote continues, "Oh, keep us humble and make sure we know how little power we have and how insignificant individual life is." But this is a general statement that doesn't apply to interpersonal relationships when the opposite is often true. The huge and crucial impact one individual, his presence and actions can have on the life of the other person, even if the interaction is brief, as in the case of the novel. The moral of the story seems to be, if you are too idealistic, your life will be very difficult, you might not even survive. And that's the difference between the two men and the girl, who, being more practical, survives pretty unscratched. The whole plot seems to be the struggle between idealism and realism. There is a 1936 adaptation of the novel, a Hollywoodian B-movie. Probably the best part of it is the young Humphrey Bogart as the protagonist. Much more on the plot and enjoyable is the BBC's Saturday Night Theatre radio adaptation from the 1960s. The old BBC, when it was hiring professionals to produce quality programming. Unfortunately, today they seem to prefer judgmental activists believing in absolute right and wrong, my opinion. Okay, let's talk about the physical book. The book I am holding is a paperback which I transformed into a hardcover leather-bound edition. To make the cover, I use grade A, naturally tan hide I buy from a tanner in North Spain. It is the same leather Louis Vuitton uses to make his bags, so it is top quality. I do all the processing of the leather myself. First I designed the cover, and for this I used a painting of a tropical island with small ship somewhat lost in a narrow corner of the beach. It brings to mind the plot of the novel, a place seemingly too beautiful for tragedy, but not sheltered from it. This is the back with the blurb, and inside front cover I printed a quote from the book. If you want to see a more detailed video where I explain how I transform paperback into leather-bound hardcover, click on the link in the description. I will make a maximum of 100 editions of each title. Each one will be numbered and initialed, and the numbers will go in chronological order from 2 up, since number 1 stays with me. The price will be around $100, so if you would like me to make one for you, you can click below on my email and send me a message. I do not guarantee I will do it, since it will depend on the time I have available, access to the leather, and if I can get my hands on the copy of the book. Now, if you're not willing to spend the $100, but you still want the book, what you can do is click below on the PayPal link and donate $3 or more to my channel. And for every 100 donations, I will make a lottery and draw one name, and the winner will receive the book. So if you are cheap but feel lucky, this might be the way to do it. Also, your donations give me the extra motivation to make the book reviews, and I appreciate them very much, so thank you in advance. One more thing, when you make your donation, remember to include the title of the book you would like to win. The book itself is beautiful. Visually, it has a very nice texture, it smells great, and the more you handle it, the more beautiful it will become. And it makes a great gift for yourself or somebody who appreciates books. So if you want one, don't snooze or you might lose. Well, that's it. So let's end it here. And until next time, keep your ear close to the ground and read a book. Adios.